smart enough to become subscribers to my online health recovery webinar site. That's right, I said smart enough. You know, what's your choice? Well, here's what your choice is. You can continue to spend hundreds of dollars in medical insurance premiums that gives you access to the type of medicine that's the leading cause of death in the United States, the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States, and it has nothing for a chronic health condition rather than symptom suppressive drugs. You can do all of that and, you know, continue to get the results that you've gotten from that system for your entire life, just more and more. But as you get older, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse and worser. Worse and worser and worsest, because MD-directed, conventional, allopathic, reductionistic, pharmaceutical centrist medicine does not work in the treatment of chronic diseases. That's why we have a healthcare crisis. The system doesn't need to be tweaked, it needs to be abandoned, and now, thanks to Obamacare, it's going to be mandatory for us to buy into the system. So my recommendation, cancel your comprehensive medical insurance, buy catastrophic instead. You know, and if hunt around for a medical insurance provider that's going to provide that type of insurance. Look, I don't need to see a doctor every year. I don't want to see a doctor every year. The only time I'm going to need to avail myself of these people, if ever in my life, is if I've been in an automobile accident, or if I have a third-degree burn, heaven forbid, or a bullet in my arm, or whatever. Go hunting with Dick Cheney and, you know, get my face shot off. Well, then you need these guys. But for all intents and purposes, you don't need them. What's a better use of your money is to purchase one Healthy Start Pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, one bottle of plant minerals, plant-derived minerals per 100 pounds of body weight per month, one bottle of selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month, eliminate the 10 bad foods from your diet, and go about your business. Because once you've secured your body's nutrient needs, once you've done that, and your body's completely nutrified all of the time with the 90 essential nutrients, the 90 for life, in absorbable recipes formulated by the world's leading naturopathic physician, whose academic resume is beyond approach. Once you've gotten that together and your body's nutrified all the time, and your heart and your eyes and your ears and your nose and your mouth and your throat and your lungs and your kidneys and your brain and your gallbladder and your small intestine and your large intestine and your stomach and your spleen and your adrenal glands and everything else has all of the nutrients that they need to function properly all of the time, and you have eliminated food that causes inflammation and upset to the human body, the only thing you need to eat food for is calories to burn for energy, protein to help your body repair itself, and fat for your central nervous system. So I don't give a crap what you eat as long as you've eliminated the 10 bad foods and you're completely nutrified. Imagine that. Imagine a world where you don't have to worry about the nutritional value of your food. Imagine that. Now, is it a good idea to eat organic? Well, yes, because that will lighten the load on the physical body. It will lighten the stress to the physical body. But here's an interesting point to ponder. And this is what we do here at Youngevity, and specifically in general, and specifically on this radio show. We bust wide open medical myths. I mean, that's what we do. You know, it's not because really I have an axe to grind. It's because you've been told the wrong stuff all of the time. And we're at the head of the pack. We're on the front end of this curve. We're at the point of the spear. We are right here. Fire your MD now. You're not going to hear this anywhere else. You're going to hear it here. You're going to hear it here first. And, you know, somebody's got to be first. Somebody's got to be number one. Somebody's got to be first in line. Somebody has to be the first person to stand up on the mountain and yell. Someone has to be the first one to the fire alarm and pull it down. Fire! The ship's on fire. The building's on fire. Let's get out of here. Somebody has to be the first one to declare war. Somebody has to fire the shot heard round the world. Well, guess what? You're listening to them. From 1970 to 1982, Dr. Joel Wallach was in charge of $25 million of federally funded research. And do you know why he did that? That's the research, by the way, that his formulations are founded upon. Then, of course, his clinical experience. But do you know why Dr. Wallach did this research in the first place? You know why they did it? Well, talk about stuff you didn't know. In the 1960s, there was an environmental disaster in Japan called the Minamata disaster. Minamata, Japan, was a small fishing village I believe in northwestern Japan, I think. I might be wrong on the geography there. Minamata, look it up. N-I-M-I-M-A-T-A, Minamata. There was an industrial plant upstream of Minamata Village. There was a Minamata River flows down into Minamata Bay, and there was a fishing village at Minamata Bay. Well, the industrial company dumped tons of mercury into Minamata River. The mercury flows downstream, empties into Minamata Bay. As fate would have it, just at the exact right time that the algae were blooming in Minamata Bay. So guess what? The algae suck up the mercury. The little fish eat the algae. The medium-sized fish eat the little fish. The big fish eat the medium-sized fish. The villagers eat the big fish. Everybody in the village gets mercury toxicity, mercury poisoning, like big time. Not just a little bit, like big time mercury poisoning, big time. Hundreds of people die, thousands of people get sick, and all of the kids born thereafter in Minamata for a couple of years were like Frankenstein. One eye, half a brain, 15 fingers, 3 legs. I mean, it was bad. And the scientific community freaked out because they figured out in short shrift that it was mercury toxicity that did this. And here was the thought process at the time, right? This is before the scientific community really was getting their feet wet with this whole field of environmental toxicity to begin with. They didn't know anything about anything, right? So they're looking at Minamata and they're going, holy crap, if mercury can do this, what about lead and PCBs and hydrochlorofluorocarbons and all this other stuff we have no idea about? This was a potential human extinction event, right? You've all seen, you know, those movies about the end of the world, right? The big comet's going to come and hit, whatever, right? It's the end of the world and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, they thought that this was a potential human extinction event because, crap, mercury caused all these birth defects, and that's mercury. What about all this other stuff? I mean, if we continue to like just unregulate this stuff and let the captains of industry do whatever they want to the air and the water and the ground, well, you know, we might be just putting ourselves out of life. So they put together a task force to explore the extent of the damage and the net negative effects that pollution would have. And so who did they pick to save the world? Will Smith? Arnold Schwarzenegger? Bruce Willis? No, Dr. Joel Wallach. They tapped Dr. Joel Wallach to be the lead investigator, the head of this research project, the intention of which was to save humanity from extinction. I want you to think about that long and hard. They chose Dr. Wallach to be the head of the task force, the research task force. They gave him $25 million to organize, dream up, organize, and orchestrate a research project that would answer the question, what exactly are the net negative effects of pollution on our health and what can we do about it? Joel Wallach. Dr. Joel Wallach to the rescue. This is why I'm, you know, humbled, quite frankly, to be in the same room with Dr. Wallach. And this is why, if you're interested in a medical nutrition alternative to whatever craziness your MD is recommending, you should lean on Wallach 100% of the time because he has more experience in this regard than anybody. And if you think sucralose is a big bad voodoo daddy, you're a knucklehead. It is not. You know, my point here is lean on Dr. Wallach, but I'm not done with my story. So remember, you don't know what you don't know, and we're about busting myths, right? So Wallach's in charge of this research, and they're doing autopsies. So here's what they did. They said, well, we can't do experiments on living humans, right? We can't do that. That's against the law. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at animals in urban zoos in the United States, like the St. Louis Zoo, the San Diego Zoo, the New York Zoo, right? The Chicago Zoo. I don't even think there is a Chicago Zoo. The Brookfield Zoo in Chicago. So we're going to do autopsies and blood chemistries and tissue samples from the animals living in urban areas right next to humans, ostensibly because they are exposed to the same crap that we are, environmental toxicity. And then we're going to go into the wild, into the wilderness, all around the world. We're going to find the same species of animal, and we're going to do blood work and autopsy and tissue samples on the animals in the wild and compare the two to see if there are any variables there from exposure to pollution and what the net negative health effects are. It was a very smart idea. It was kind of brilliant, actually. So about halfway into the project, however, they're coming up empty-handed. Wallach's going, look, there's no net negative effects from pollution, and the only time that pollution is in fact a great big bad voodoo daddy is when there's a giant exposure like Minamata, like Chernobyl, like 3 Mile Island. It's a big giant exposure, right? Like you live in a house filled with asbestos or you work in the coal mine, right? Big giant exposure all the time. But normal day-to-day stuff was irrelevant, had hardly any negative effects on health. The research project was almost canceled. And, you know, everybody breathes a great big sigh of relief. Well, thank you very much. Industry can soldier on. But they discovered something that they weren't looking for. And this is what makes their discovery all the more pertinent. They discovered that even though pollution had to be a giant exposure to propagate a net negative health effect, not having enough calcium in your body, not having enough vitamin C or vitamin A or vitamin B or omega-3 or omega-6 or, you know, tyrosine, not having any of the essential nutrients in the body would kill you. But you wouldn't just die. First, you would suffer, and then you would die. Nutrient deficiencies were, in fact, a much bigger problem than pollution. Pollution was irrelevant, and the negative effects of pollution paled in comparison to not having enough nutrition. Moral of this story, don't worry about the crap in the air, the crap in the food, the crap in the water. Don't worry about what is there. Worry about the nutrients that are not there. Get on board with the 90 for life to save your life. Stick around. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden here with another live edition of Fire Your MD. Now, today is, of course, the third day of September 2013, September 3rd, 2013. Talk about time flying when you're having fun. What the heck? It's September all of a sudden? I don't know how that happened. So listen, if you've not yet joined Youngevity for your health or your wealth, go to my website and click on Join Team Glidden. Click on Join Team Glidden right there at fireyourmdnow.com. Go there, click on Join Team Glidden. For the month of September, Team Glidden will be having a contest where our team members can win an iPad Mini and Youngevity products. You got to love that. Join Team Glidden to get more info. You got to become a member of my team in order to do this, in order to get info and figure out what's going on. Now listen, this is only for people who are not yet in Youngevity. If you're already in Youngevity in somebody else's group, then you don't qualify. This is just for my team members. We take special care of my team members. This is only for my team members and for those people who are yet to be team members who have not joined Youngevity yet. If you join at the CEO Mega Pack level, you'll get specialized business and health coaching and training by top-level members. So check it out, folks. The game is on. It's game on, baby. Win an iPad Mini in the month of September. FireYourMDNow.com. Click on Join Team Glidden, and life is good. Looks like our old friend Gottfried from Germany is back on. Achtung, Gottfried. Thanks for calling. You are live.
Hey. Hey, Doc. How are you?
I'm very, very good, man. How goes the? We keep missing each other. I think we haven't connected about this whole thing with the European Union. Where are you at with that? Have you moved along there?
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for your call. You said you contact Steve, and nothing is happening.
Okay, so you went back to the lab and you got all the information, and you're good.
Yeah, they just want to go ahead, and then whether things can go on, then we give them the green light to do the analysis.
All right. Well, what's your morning like tomorrow? How far ahead of me are you in Germany?
6 hours, I think.
All right, so if we did 10 o'clock my time,
Okay.
that would be 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 p.m. tomorrow work for you?
That's right.
All right, very good. I'll call you at 10 a.m. my time, 4 p.m. your time tomorrow, and we'll dial it in. I'll Skype you, buddy. And
Yeah,
life
that
is
would be
good.
wonderful.
All right, I look forward to that. Very excited about this. So how can I help you today, Gottfried? What's going on, man?
Listen, I'm part of this webinar stuff.
Yeah.
And when I dial into the archive with the vision recovery system, I cried here. You can't believe it.
Yeah, I know. It's remarkable stuff, isn't it? Because you're suffering from what? Macular degeneration?
I'm suffering from glaucoma, cataract, and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's remarkable stuff. Now, let me give you a heads up on the cataract, okay?
But I have a surgery on the cataract already.
Oh, okay, great. All right, well, sometimes, sometimes that's necessary and sometimes it's not. I think more often than not, the cataract surgery is actually necessary and a good idea. But, you know, the rest of the stuff, man, we can go a long, long way towards supporting and promoting the health of your eyes. And Dr. Wallach, over the years, has secured some unbelievable vision testimonials. I mean, just unbelievable stuff. I mean, people that were legally blind before they got on board with medical nutrition, and now they can see again. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, but this lady on Joyce Fleming side, spoke to you, called Lorraine, got her eyesight back after 15 years of being blind.
Gotta love it. I mean, it's remarkable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, yeah, it's remarkable. And this is why I always say we have no idea where the breaking point is, where the point of no return. There is a point of no return, right, beyond which the body just can't fix it. But I don't know where that is anymore. I used to think I knew where that was before I met Dr. Wallach. Before I started using Wallach's protocols, you know, every doctor is a little full of themselves, right? Well, I was not immune to that. I used to think I knew.
Laser stuff organized by the MDs for eye stuff, and also, does it have any effect on the eyes?
The laser surgery? Well, no. The laser surgery that they're having now, it slices through the outer part of the eye, the cornea, in order to bend the light rays in a particular way. Now, that, and they're pretty advanced in that technology, and that's not going to do anything for glaucoma. That's not going to do anything for macular degeneration. That's not going to do anything besides change the angle at which light rays come into the eye. So it's not a bad thing to do. But again, nutrition, nutrition, nutrition. Hard break, Gottfried. Stick around. We're back in a minute, going back to our good friend Gottfried in Germany, folks. I am Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now. And we're back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here with you on the third day of September 2013. Let's get right to the phones. 866-582-9933, by the way. That's the number to call. So what else is on your mind, Gottfried?
Listen, the surgery I have on my right eye was called CPC. I don't know whether you know it. Cyclophoto laser coagulation surgery.
Yeah.
To correct the glaucoma, bring the and stuff. And I made the research that after you have this surgery, after 1.5 years, your eye go blank. So this is what is happening to my eyes. And at the moment, I don't have any what is the name? Glaucoma or this pressure anymore on my right eye.
Yeah.
But on the left eye, I have a pressure of 34.
Yeah.
My recent check.
Well, from our point, well, I don't know either. I'm not familiar with that type of surgery, right? But it's irrelevant because if the body is able to recover from it, it will recover from it. There's nothing extra to add to the program. The program here, from our point of view, the reason that glaucoma happens, which is a pressure buildup inside the eyeball, is because the circulation to the eyeball is gummed up. It's no different than the sink the drain in your sink getting a clog in it, right? That it doesn't drain the way that it should. So from our point of view, this is a problem with clogged circulatory systems to the eye. What causes that? All of the wrong foods all of the time, and not enough.
It said it's diabetic.
Well, you know, diabetes. If diabetes is present, the sugar in the body produces too much insulin, and it's the presence of the insulin, not the sugar, that causes the damage to the cell walls here, which then causes a clog in the drain. So there's a number of things going on here, right? It's kind of like, you know, being attacked by the enemy while there's a hurricane. There's two things going against you, right, at the same time. So the recommendation to support and promote the structure and function of eye health is stay the hell away from the 10 bad foods, man. I would increase your ORAC for between 50 and 100,000 a day, between 50,000 and 100,000 ORAC points a day or more if you can manage it. 12 selenium a day. 12 selenium a day, and the Ultimate Daily Capsules, right? The Ultimate Daily Capsules and the selenium are the secret sauce here, and the antioxidants. Ultimate Daily, 1 bottle per 200 pounds of body weight per month. The selenium, appropriate for body weight, and antioxidants between 50 and 100, more than 100 if you can do it every day. On top of, right, the 90 essentials. Then we just keep our darn fingers crossed and see what happens. Now, as we're going down the road here, if there's a type 2 diabetic thing going on, or even a type 1 diabetes, we anticipate the blood sugars to start to change within the first 3 months. We anticipate a nice change in the blood sugar.
I'm sorry to tell you that I'm so hooked on cashew nuts. This is one of my problems.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, you want to check out the sugar content of the cashew nut. And if you're hooked on anything, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's, you know, for some people it's coffee, for some people it's cigarettes, for some people it's calories, for some people it's cashew nuts or whatever, candy for some people, right? I mean, anybody in Alcoholics Anonymous in the United States, they're all sugar freaks. So what would be an interesting thing to do, Gottfried, for 2 weeks as a little experiment is get a bottle of plant-derived minerals, just the minerals, all by themselves, and do 4 ounces of the plant minerals a day. 1 ounce, 4 times a day, just of the plant minerals, and see what happens to your craving for cashews. It might just be a simple mineral deficiency in excess, all right? So dial that in, see what happens, keep your fingers crossed. I'm happy you're with us, and I will look forward to talking to you tomorrow at 4 o'clock your time. Thanks for everything that you do, Gottfried. I have to move along here. I appreciate you. Going from Germany to Texas to talk to Ulrich. Hey, Ulrich, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Yes, I have a question. What would be the genesis of protein in your kidneys? Would it be something wrong with your liver? And if so, what would you do about that, or would you just treat the kidneys?
Well, so you're getting protein in the urine, right?
Yes, sir. And feet are swelling up.
Yeah, protein swelling in the urine and feet swelling up. Well, those two things are in keeping and consistent with each other. Because if you have protein in the urine, that means it's not in the blood where it should be. And if it's not in the blood where it should be, it's, you know, if you don't have enough sufficient amounts of protein inside the blood vessels, then that's going to cause this reverse osmotic gradient that sucks water out of the blood vessels into the surrounding tissue. It's a funny little thing that happens. By the way, if you're in the listening audience and you know anybody that suffers from this condition, it used to be called dropsy. That's the old, or milk leg. That's the old-fashioned term for this. It's, you know, you see people with really swollen feet or really swollen ankles, or from the knee down, their legs are puffy. It can even happen in the upper extremities, less frequently though. This is not because you have a bad gene. It's not because you have bad circulation. It's because there's just not enough protein in the blood. Now, when we have protein spilling into the urine, that means the kidneys are not functioning optimally. The kidneys are not doing a good job at filtering the stuff that they need to filter. The kidneys are under-functioning. Now, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever had an air conditioner, but I do. And if there's a, in our heating and cooling system, of course, in most people's, there's a room to put a filter in the ducts, right? These big, you know, 12 by 24 inch air filters. And if you're not on top of cleaning the air filter out, the air filter gets all clogged up with the stuff that it's filtering, and when that happens, it makes the air conditioning unit work harder and work harder and work harder. When the AC unit works harder, what happens is the copper pipes that are involved with your air conditioning, they'll get iced up. I mean, I went down like 6 months ago. I went down in my air conditioning unit. It was like Iceland up there. I mean, the whole thing was all these big, giant ice chunks holding onto the thing. I pulled the filter out, for goodness sake. I hadn't changed the filter in a year. I don't know what I was thinking. But my point is, it's not really any different in the body. When the filters in your body they're overloaded, and they're not functioning properly, it's going to have effects elsewhere, and this is one of the things that happens. So this is a kidney function problem specifically. Now, to support and promote the healthy function of the kidney, the recommendation is the Anti-Aging Healthy Start Pack, appropriate for body weight, the Anti-Aging Healthy Start Pack, and selenium, appropriate for body weight. The secret sauce here would be the Ultimate Daily Capsules. 1 bottle of Ultimate Daily Capsules. I would do 1 bottle of Ultimate Daily Capsules per 200 pounds of body weight. If you're over 200 pounds, for 1 month, I would do 2 bottles of Ultimate Daily Capsules. And for a month or 2, you may benefit from an herbal supplement called Super KB. Super KB, the K stands for kidney, the B stands for bladder. It's an herbal supplement, the intention of which is to support and promote the health, structure, and function of the kidneys and the bladder. So we're supporting specifically the kidney here with the Super KB add-on and the Ultimate Daily Capsule add-on. But remember, this all, we're pretty practical and pragmatic here, so inquiring minds want to know, well, what the heck caused the filter to get all clogged up in the first place? The filter in this case being the kidney. That would be wheat, barley, rye, and oats, oil in a bottle, fried food, fried food, fried food, fried food, fried food, margarine, well done red meat, meat with nitrates added as preservatives, and carbonated beverages with a meal. But especially free radical donors are the big culprit here. Fried food especially, and oil in a bottle. You just want to not even look at that crap anymore, man. I mean, just eliminate that
I
stuff.
stopped that a long time ago. I mean, about 2-3 months ago.
Well, so how old are you?
51.
So that means for 50 years and
well, let's say
10 months, you've been messing your body up with all the wrong stuff. You ain't going to recover from that in 2 months, right?
Okay. Yes, sir.
But my point is, you're going to recover from it to the degree that your body's able to recover from it if now you change your direction. And this is a really great thing to talk about. And, we're so used to immediate fixes in this country that, I need to reiterate this over and over, and I'm happy to because, that's my job. But healing is a process. It's not an event. It's something that unfolds over time, and we expect, slow and steady wins the race here, baby. Slow and steady wins the race. So as long as you're doing the right stuff, right? You've eliminated the crap, and you're giving your kidneys the right stuff in this case. Then the only thing necessary is time, and the more time that you have, the more of an improvement you should see. The more of an improvement you should see, the more of an improvement. Now, one thing that you can do ostensibly to help here in the meantime is eat more protein. I bet you didn't.
That's what I've been doing. Yeah. I've been taking like 60 grams of protein a day.
Well, 90 is, go up to 90 and see if that doesn't help. Now, you could also use lemon juice and a little bit of water before you eat a meal.
Yeah, I tried that, but that bloated me up and I got gas and all this with the enzymes.
You're salting your food so that it tastes good?
Oh, big time. Taste.
All right, great, man. And how many enzymes are you taking?
I take one. I was taking one with every meal with a 1 lemon, but that gave me gas. I didn't know what was giving me the gas. It was like bloating me up.
Could have been the lemon, so I would go with the enzymes. Go back to the enzymes, and just give the program more time. You doing the Ultimate Dailies, the Ultimate Daily Caps?
Yeah, I have a bottle of that. I'm doing that two every meal.
All right, great. I mean, that's 6 a day, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, now I probably have told you this before, but I'm going to tell it so that the listening audience can get it. The Ultimate Daily Capsules is one of the largest hard-pressed nutritional supplements. It's a hard-pressed tablet that Youngevity has, but most hard-pressed tablets, like Centrum Silver crap, has a shellac coating on it. I mean, it's shiny and it's slippery, and you pop that in your mouth, it just slides right down because it has a shellac coating. But the shellac coating is very hard for your body to digest. So you might swallow it down okay, but 6 hours later, 12 hours later, you're going to poop it right out undigested. Youngevity's Ultimate Daily Hard Pressed capsule does not have a shellac coating on it, so it's one of the more difficult things to swallow because sometimes it'll stick to your tongue, right? So what I recommend, if that is your experience, which invariably it will be if you're taking these regularly, is keep them in the freezer. Put them on the freezer, man. Freeze the bottle. Put the bottle in the freezer and freeze the capsules and swallow the capsules frozen, because they'll go right down the hatch much easier than if they're straight in the bottle. So you just need more time, buddy. Check it out. Give your body more time. The only other thing that you could do, really, is up the ante with your daily intake of antioxidants. Up the ante with your antioxidants. Again, your goal being between 50 and 100,000 or more ORAC points of antioxidants. But your low ball number every day should be a minimum of 50,000 ORAC points a day of antioxidants. Check it out. Keep calling back, man. We appreciate everything that you do down there in Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, 866-582-9933. That's the number to call if you want to talk to me live. And if you're listening to the podcast, because you have a JOB and you can't call in during your JOB, the number to call for information or for support or for help is 855-347-3696. That's 855-347-3696. Remember, become a Dr. Glidden insider by going to fireyourmdnow.com. Click on the online subscription service, join us, and then click on the Become a Team Glidden member button, join the cause, and lift yourself up into financial freedom as well as health. And again, that beats a poke eye with a sharp stick. Stick around. Boom, 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 baby. That's how we do it. One person at a time. Don't believe me? Well, let's let Gary from Tennessee tell you how we roll. Gary, welcome for the phone call. You are live.
Hey, Doc. It's good to talk to you. Good to see you there in Smithfield, Tennessee. What a fantastic seminar that you put on there. We drove 5 hours. That's 2.5 hours both ways. And it was well worth every minute that I spent on the road just to see you.
Well, I appreciate the positive strokes, man. And honest to God, Gary, if I seem tall to you, it's because I'm standing on Dr. Wallach's shoulders. I mean, no kidding. I mean, really, I've learned more in the last 5 years from Doc than I have in the previous 20. I mean, all combined. I mean, Dr. Wallach is an institution here, and really, we gotta pay it forward, right? But I mean, the reason that I'm able to talk to you the way that I do is because of everything that I've learned from Dr. Wallach. He really is the unrivaled superstar of holistic medicine. But I appreciate the strokes, man.
Yeah, I've got basically just about everything Dr. Wallach's put in print and on CD. But
I know, right? Yeah.
But let me tell you, your online webinars, they help recovery. I am an insider, and I have. What you placed on there is understandable to me. I'm not. I can't keep up with Doc with some of the things that he talks about in his books, but what you put together is plain language. I get it. I mean, I love the vision for the eye, just the basics of nutrition. Everything is there. If somebody would at least spend 1 or 2 months there, if that's all they could afford, it'd change their life.
Well, I will, toot my own horn here, because that's one of my strengths. I mean, I'm very, very good at being able to take these complicated medical, physiological stuff and just make it easy to understand, because honest to God, it's just easy stuff, and it's the MDs who go out of their way to try to complicate it and make it inaccessible, and that's just criminal as far as I'm concerned. It's criminal. This is not difficult stuff, but it's pitched to the public as difficult stuff. It just takes someone like me to dumb it down, and really, this type of information should be easily available to everybody. And you're hearing it from the horse's mouth, folks. FireYourMDNow.com. Sign up for my online health recovery stuff. Become a Dr. Glidden Insider. You don't know what you don't know. Healing is easy, and let me drag you into the light of medical nutrition now. Thanks for the strokes, Gary. I think you've got a question here. What's up?
I've got two of them. I've got one is a 35-year-old female, and she's about 5'6" and wrestles with her weight. And she has severe menstrual cramps.
Oh, well, I'll stop you right there. That's a simple calcium deficiency, period. There's no magic there. So you got to dial in, of course, the Healthy Start Pack and selenium appropriate for body weight, right? Now, in the Healthy Start Pack, there's calcium, right? So,
right.
However, so you got to dial in the appropriate Healthy Start Pack, appropriate for body weight, and then give her 1 extra bottle of calcium a month, 1 extra bottle of the liquid calcium a month. And when she's having her menstrual cycle, what I would tell her to do is to have 1 ounce of the white liquid calcium and a little bit of orange juice 4 times a day. And when she's, doubled up with a cramp, just to pound down 1 ounce of the calcium and a little bit of orange juice. And if her cycle is regular and she knows when it's going to happen, preventively, she can increase her calcium dosage a couple of days before her menstrual cycle is set to start, and then for the first couple of days of the period. But normally, once we've fulfilled the body's need for calcium appropriately with the appropriate Healthy Start Pack, just for a month or two, you don't need to do extracurricular calcium because it sorts itself all out. It's a simple calcium deficiency, and the Osteo FX Plus will eliminate it like freaking magic.
Okay. And the other one was a male, a 60-year-old male, about 200 pounds, and really wrestles with hemorrhoids.
Oh, hemorrhoids. All right, so hemorrhoids are going real quick because we're up against a hard break. That's a copper deficiency and a tyrosine deficiency, mostly copper. The extra copper is found in the Youngevity selenium supplement. So when we're trying to push copper, the recommendation, regardless of body weight, is 4 bottles of selenium a month, in addition to the Healthy Start Pack, and have him take the selenium between meals. 4 between breakfast and lunch, 4 between lunch and dinner, and 4 between dinner and bedtime. 12 selenium a day on an empty stomach, plus the Healthy Start. Give it 6 months. We're back at 6 after the hour, folks. Stick around.
You're feeling down in the dumps, tired of your health holding you back? Look no further than Fire Your MD Now with Dr. Glidden, the radio show that strives to get you in optimal health. Look out, Big Pharma. Someone is looking for the knockout punch. Here's Dr. Glidden.
Breaking news from the German courts. Breaking news from the German courts. They're ruling now that even if you just worked in the death camps in World War II, you didn't actively put people in the chambers or beat people or do anything. If you just worked in the death camps, then you are responsible and can be held accountable for all of the deaths that happened. So 10 million people, right? 10 million people killed, approximately, maybe more, in the German death camps. Since World War II, approximately 45 million people have been killed by MD-directed therapeutics. 45 million people killed by MD-directed therapeutics. 10 million people killed in the death camps of World War II. The death camps are over. There are no more. MDs continue to be in business. 780,000 people. And this is just in the U.S. Worldwide, the numbers are probably triple this, right? Probably triple this. So that means right around 150 million people have been killed because of old-fashioned, outdated, expensive, dangerous, juvenile, pig-headed MD therapeutics. About 150 million. I mean, that's a conservative estimate worldwide since the end of World War II. And now the German courts have ruled that if you just swept up the floor in the death camps, that you're liable, you can be held responsible and prosecuted accordingly. Well, does this mean that janitors in the hospitals and nurses and the plumbers and the electricians in the hospital should be held accountable? I think it should. But of course, because the medical pharmaceutical industry monopolizes the medical industry and they have more power than God, this is not going to, none of this is nobody's gonna be prosecuted here. And this is the million, billion, trillion pound gorilla in the middle of the world that nobody sees, or that if people see, nobody speaks out about it like we do. The medical system does not need to be tweaked. It doesn't need to be massaged. It doesn't need to be upregulated or downregulated. It needs to be abandoned because it doesn't work, and these people need to be held accountable for what they do, period. MD-directed medical treatments for chronic diseases are the leading cause of death in the United States and the leading cause of bankruptcy, period. And nobody goes to jail. And yet we're up in arms, and rightly so, about, what, how many people killed in Syria? What, 1,500? Right? You know how many people a day die? It's 10 times that in the United States just from medical treatments. American citizens dead from MD treatments. And we don't bat a freaking eyelash, but the Syrians drop dead, ostensibly from gas that somebody gave to them. Who knows who? You think it was Assad's regime? I don't think it was Assad's regime. But, the point, I'm not a political commentator. The point is that if we're just outraged at human death, then what about the 15,000 U.S. citizens a week who die at the hands of the MDs? This is how far down the rabbit hole we've gone in our abject genuflection at the altar of all things MD. It's killing us. We need to snap out of it. Well, guess what? I am the red pill. Here we go. We're going to go to Indiana and talk to Derek, I think, about sickle cell anemia. Hey, Derek, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Oh, yes. This is the real sickle cell warrior, and it's been about a year since I've started Youngevity. I started at the end of September last year, and I started talking with you, and it's been a great year because I'm healthier than I've been in probably a decade, as about 47 now, and it does make a difference. But I was naive. I told you about that. I thought that I could talk to sickle cell organizations on Facebook and talk to my local one, and they would hear me out. But I found out that they can shoot you down real easily when you're just a peon. Yeah, see, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, but now, though, because of different things happening, I guess with cuts in federal money or whatever, I don't know, I got a chance this week to talk to the president CEO of the premier sickle cell foundation here in Indianapolis, Indiana, which is huge. And so he's the doorman, the gatekeeper, and if I'm going to let him hear what you say, concerning why he should listen to what you're saying and what Dr. Wallach is saying. I talked to Dr. Wallach earlier today, but I want to get the doctor because you're so expressive and dynamic and passionate. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, let me tell you, I can riff on that for hours on end, but before I go there, tell the listening audience, because most people don't know what sickle cell anemia is or what it, how it affects the human body. But here's the deal, folks. If you have sickle cell anemia, that means the red blood cells in your body, which normally should look like pie plates, look like crescent moons. Instead of looking like pie plates, they look like crescent moons. It looks like a sickle, they used to cut down the wheat with back in the day. That's how it got its name, sickle cell anemia. And when you've got a lot of red blood cells that are sickle-shaped instead of pie-shaped, as they're tumbling through your blood vessels, you can imagine what those sharp little edges, what type of pain that can generate. So normally, Derek, right, people that are suffering from sickle cell anemia have these things called sickle cell crises. Couple, 3, 4, 6, 7 times a year. How many crises were you having before Youngevity every year?
Well, I was having probably not major crisis. I would say two probably major that would put me in the hospital, but minor ones that would sit me down and sometimes make me go home from work early, a week or every 2 weeks.
And since you've been on Youngevity, how frequently are the minor ones happening?
Well, I had a real minor one about 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was so minor, I left work at 11, sat down, and I was up at 3 o'clock feeling like nothing was wrong and chopping wood the next day like Daniel Boone.
Well, but the last time, so before Youngevity, you were having minor events about once a week, and since Youngevity, you're having minor events once a year?
Probably about once, maybe twice a year, but it's so minor, it's like I can actually just sit down in a chair sometimes and then get up and then have fun.
Well, all right, so that's a big change, right? From once a week to once a year. What the heck? And it's kind of just a non-event, right?
Right.
And how about major, big, take me to the hospital and shoot me in the head now events? How many of those events have you had in the last year since Youngevity?
Well, I had one major one because, see, now we have to be realistic. I was feeling so good with Youngevity's products that I did not listen to my body. Sometimes you have to just sit down and say, okay, wait a minute, I'm feeling tired, the weather changed or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't listen. I said, no, this is super juice, but we have to balance how great you feel. I don't care who you are. Sometimes your body tell you need to rest. And we can't just take nutrition and not rest. So I had to learn how sometimes when your body says something, rest, but that was my fault. I could have did that with doing anything, though.
Well, yeah, all right, so it's interesting, right? So in any event, remarkable positive improvement in the last 12 months since you've been giving your body the nutrition it needs to have healthy, normal red blood cells, right?
Exactly. I mean, there's no way without the tangy tangerine and the selenium and the other things, the OsteoFX and the EFAs, there's no way I could eat 2 meals a day ongoing. There's no way I could play basketball like I'm in my 20s and like I actually can play. There's no way I can chop trees and wood and do all the things I do, ride bikes like I'm competing and still be fine. I mean, it just doesn't happen until Youngevity came along.
It's remarkable, and this is a testament to good, new-fashioned medical nutrition. And this is the thing that I'm going to riff on right now, and that you can forward this to the person that needs to listen to this. Look, here's the deal. My people are destroyed by lack of knowledge, and for the last 100 years, medicine in the United States has been dominated and delivered by the pharmaceutical industry, period. And medicine is researched and viewed, and pathophysiology is understood through a reductionistic lens. Medical doctors are not trained in science, they're trained in reductionistic science. And reductionistic science argues there is no soul force, the human body does not know how to fix itself, the human body does not have the ability to fix itself. Once you're sick, you're screwed. And your only option is to let man, the doctor, march in with man-made symptom-suppressive synthetic drugs, the intention of which isn't to stimulate and promote your body's ability to fix itself, but the intention of which is to suppress and control your symptoms. For goodness sake, medical doctors don't even know how to cure heartburn. They can manage it with the little purple pill, but they don't know what causes it, and they have no idea how to cure it. They have no idea what causes sickle cell anemia. They have no idea how to cure it. And because they're wedded to an old-fashioned, out-of-date methodology, reductionistic Newtonian science, their therapeutics fail. And so now they've failed for 100 years, and so now instead of looking at their own, looking in the mirror, taking the log out of their own eye before they try to fix the speck in their neighbor's eye, instead of doing that, instead of looking at their own methodology and saying, what are we understanding that's wrong here, they're all about the gene studies. Now, it's got to be genetic. Even though James Watson, the guy that discovered the structure of DNA, or at least who was credited for discovering the structure of DNA, for goodness sake, came out, human genetic material, he discovered the structure of it, published it, came out about 6 months ago and said genetic research is a dead end, shouldn't be done, it's given us nothing, no tangible results, and the pathoneogenesis of illness is biochemical, it ain't genetic. But the MDs are pig-headed, and they're on this track. They're on a track, and they're never, ever going to get off of the track, because getting off of the track would mean that they have to admit their own incompetence, and that is never going to happen. 500,000 people died from Vioxx, and nobody went to jail. And they continue to try to develop pain medications of the same ilk. 500,000 people, you kidding me? If you have sickle cells in your blood, it's not because you have a bad gene. It's not because you have an autoimmune disease. It's not because you have a voodoo curse. It's because your body has lost the ability, has run out of the raw materials to manufacture red blood cells the way that nature and God intended it. So what do? We provide your body with the raw materials that it needs to optimize its function and health. For goodness sake, you take better care of your automobile than you do of the human body. You change the oil every 3 months. You take it in for a tune-up once a year. They change out all the fluids. You do not give your body the nutrition that it needs, and it breaks down for lack of nutrition, and then you go to a pig-headed, old-fashioned, pharmaceutical centrist MD, and they throw a drug and 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 a drug, and then you suffer and die. Well, guess what? Get a clue. Be like Derek in Indiana. Give your body the raw materials. Get out of the way and let the healing begin. It's not rocket science. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health, welcoming you to another live edition today, the 3rd day of September 2013, the 3rd day of September 2013. Thanks so much for logging in. We're going to go right back to the phones right now and talk to Shannon, who's calling from a good old Texas, where I'm sure she has spurs that jingle, jangle, jingle. What's happening, Shannon?
Okay, I'm following up again on the lady I'm helping with the rheumatoid.
Listen, I don't care about that. Tell me what's happening in Texas. What are you guys, crazy people, doing down there now? Have you have you passed more gun laws? I mean, how many guns do you need, for goodness sake? What's going on down there? How the heck is it? How are your horses and cows and pigs and chickens anyway? What's happening?
It's hot down here.
Yeah, it's hot. Yeah, it's not hell, but you can see hell from where you live, right?
Yeah, pretty close.
You know, honest to God, well, we'll get to the rheumatoid arthritis thing, for goodness sake, don't worry. I don't understand, honestly, you know, because back in the day, I'm a Yankee, right, from Massachusetts, right?
That's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Diana, what can I say? The apple don't fall far from the tree, right? And the first time in my life...
Hey, do you remember the first time I called you and I didn't even tell you what was going on, and you said, I know what your problem is, you're Republican. Like,
no, I never said that. I never said that. I never said that. All right, I said that. So here's the deal, right? So first time in my life I'm below the Mason-Dixon line. A buddy of mine was at Duke University in Durham, and I went down to hang out with him for a year. I thought I was going to be there for a year. I get there in September, beautiful fall, and then we had a little bit of snow in December, and then, you know, it went right away, and then springtime started in March, lasted for 3 months. Most beautiful spring I've ever seen in my life, by the way, in the South. But then, oh my God, June rolled around. And, you know, we were a bunch of broke college kids living in a house. We didn't have any AC. And you'd take a shower, and 10 minutes later you'd be soaking wet because of the humidity. I couldn't handle it. I had to leave. I left. I couldn't handle the heat. And I don't know how people did it. You know, like in Texas, you know, back in the day, and in Mississippi back in the day, and in, heaven forbid, Florida. How the heck did people live there before we had AC? I don't get that.
Other thing we have going for us as we're coming into the season of fall is the change of colors we have from green to brown to light brown. So we don't have not much variety in that either.
Yeah, that's funny. You got to get to Michigan. Got to get to Michigan. Got to get to New England. So I went to college my entire undergraduate career was spent in New England, and I got to tell you, man, there were some days in the fall where it was just so unbelievably beautiful. I mean, it brought tears to your eyes. And here's a little fun fact to know and tell, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a leaf peeper, if you like to check out the fall colors, you get the most spectacular colors in seasons where there is a dramatic change between the daytime temperature and the nighttime temperature. When there's a big temperature change, you know, like it's 85 degrees during the day and it's 40 degrees at night, when there's a big temperature difference between daytime and nighttime temperature, that's when you get the brightest colors. So check that out. If you can make it to New England or Michigan or even southern Canada during, you know, September, October, it's well worth the trip. Unbelievably beautiful. But I digress, Shannon. I like to digress with you because, you know, my brain needs a break every once in a while. So what's happening in rheumatoid arthritis land anyway?
Okay, so the update, I called you because we just weren't, she was on the Healthy Start Pack, Fucoid Z, Killer Biotic, enzymes, CM gel, and had been for about 30 days and was still having a lot of swelling, but she was also going off of chemo treatments that the doctors had put her on, so
yikes.
She was making that transition. She's just been, well, so then let me back up, then you upped her calcium, you basically doubled it and said, tell me what happens, and then she had like totally watery diarrhea, and then we went to absorption issues, so now she's about a week gluten-free, and she is doing the calcium in smaller doses, like every 2 hours, like you said, and the diarrhea has gone away, so she's absorbing something now. I just wondered, I was telling her about how I thought I was smarter than you for too long, and I played around with gluten, and when it really hit me was after I had done a cleanse and detox and then tried to play with gluten again, and I called you and got a royal rear end chewing out of you.
Well, that's how I roll with you Republicans. Actually, you know, stick around, Shannon. I want to talk to you some more. We're up against the hard break. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the luckiest day of your life. You've tuned in to Fire Your MD Now. Check us out right there on the World Wide Web and join Team Glidden, why don't you? Back after these messages. Stick around. Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden here. We're having a little fun today, feeling a little devilish, are we? Feeling a little devilish today, I think so. Shannon, we're talking to Shannon. She always brings out the devil in me whenever she calls up. So Shannon, what do you want me to tell you, for goodness sake? The woman's only been gluten-free for 7 days. What do you expect, a miracle? Come on now, what's going on? Oops, hold on. I better unmute your mic, Shannon. And I think it would be better to give you a chance to talk. So what do you want me to tell you?
Yeah. Okay, I just want to know if, you know, whenever I did the detox, cleanse, and fast, it really cleaned a lot of junk out and really kind of catapulted me digestion-wise. Is it okay for her to do that?
Absolutely. And yeah, you bet. And, you know, remember the way that we do that, right, is the way that you did it. And if she does it the same way that you did it, then, yeah, it can accelerate the resolution of the problem here, you bet, because that goes a long way towards increasing absorption. And that's an interesting thing to talk about because we're not really aware of the reason why when you clean out the large intestine, right, the colon, the terminal end of the digestive tract, we're not sure of the exact mechanism as to why that has positive effects upstream in the assimilation and absorption area, but it does. And, you know, everything connects, and this is one of the wonderful things about the holistic method, right? Because once we dial in the holistic method, we have unexpected positive effects in areas that we weren't anticipating. So, yeah, absolutely. If she got on board with a health recovery program, I mean a detox, then that would be a very good thing for her to do.
Okay, one other question. So I've been talking to her that if she's this gluten intolerant, all of her children are because she's passed it on. And so we started finding this child has skin issues, this one. So we're dealing with that, but she has a toddler who basically has had constipation issues from birth.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that, you know, not able to absorb iron was like the basis of mine when I was a kid. That's how I could look back and know. But so she's saying she's worried about the BTT, that maybe the iron will stop him up. And is there anything natural in Youngevity? He's doing the peach BTT.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay, good. That's a great question. And so now, again, we need to fall back on the holistic methodology here, right? So it's not iron that constipates people, because iron is an essential nutrient.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you just take an iron supplement, a standalone iron supplement, you know, like Geritol, or remember that old Geritol they used to sell? I don't even know if they still sell that. But you can get iron supplements over the counter at the health food store, or even at the pharmacy. If you take too much iron all at once in a concentrated form, yeah, you can get constipated. The healthiest person in the world can get constipated from that. But when you take iron as one component of the 90 essential nutrients in trace amounts, which it is in Youngevity, then it's not going to cause constipation. It's just not going to do it, number one. And number two, the reason that the constipative event was there in the first place isn't because of the presence of iron in the child's diet, but it was because of the presence of gluten in the child's diet. So when we eliminate the initial irritant, right, when we pull the splinter from the wound fixes itself. So when we stop eating gluten that's gumming up the works and give the 90 essential nutrients, which includes iron, but as part of a comprehensive package, there's no harm and no foul, and she doesn't need to be worried about it. What she needs to be more worried about is honestly not getting the 90 essential nutrients into that kid's body, because he needs it, and there's not going to be any problem there whatsoever. However, because of the past history of the family with the gluten, right, I would recommend you use the Beyond Tangy 2.0, the peach infusion, because that has less food allergic stuff in it. It's less problematic when we're dealing with funky digestive tracts, right? So the peach infusion is a better solution there. But yeah, probably you already knew that, right?
Yeah, but so when he is constipated, is there any, like, what can she do to help him in this transition? Okay,
so when there is a constipative event happening, then she can give him the herbal rainforest. The herbal or Youngevity's herbal rainforest is specific, clean it out, thing. And if he was an adult, I would tell him just to drink a strong cup of coffee or a cup of espresso, right? Because caffeine is laxative, and it's laxative herbs that are in the herbal rainforest. Just a half an ounce at a time for a child should be fine. And you want to see that kick in within 1 hour of taking it.
Okay.
All right, kiddo. Appreciate you. Keep up the good work down there in Texas. You are the last best hope your friends, family members, and church members have to live healthy and wealthy lives. And this is what we do, right, folks? We're rallying the troops. Shannon from Texas, Lori from Tennessee, Gerald from Texas. We've got the guy who just called from Indiana, the sickle cell anemia warrior, right? And Todd Harrison from California, the Defy Muscular Dystrophy, and all these people all around the country. They've taken up the responsibility of helping the members of their community recover their health. Why? Because the MDs stink at what they do for chronic disease, and they've let us down hard. This is what it comes to. This is why I love Youngevity Nation. People are awesome. Going from Texas to Texas, going to talk to Gerald next. Hey, Gerald, thanks for the phone call. It's your turn. You are live.
Hello, Dr. Glidden. It's good talking to you.
Thanks for calling, buddy. What's up?
Since my wife and I found Youngevity just a little over a year ago, we feel like we found the fountain of youth.
I know, right? It's true. I know. Proof of the pudding's in the eating, man. I can't talk about this enough. Good for you, Gerald. I'm happy to hear you say that.
And really appreciate the way you're able to take complex issues and bring them down to lay terms so that us lay people can understand them.
There you go. Well, I appreciate that too. And I got to tell you, man, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. Because if it wasn't for you and everybody just like you, Dr. Glidden's just speaking to a big vacuum with nobody in it. The reason that my information is so impactful to you is because you exist and you're thirsty for it. So, you know, this is a very much of a symbiotic relationship. You know, we both benefit from the existence of the other, and I would be nowhere without Youngevity Nation. And really, man, I want you to really think long and hard about this, and everybody out there that's a member of Youngevity. Good for you, because you guys have really taken it upon yourselves to be responsible for the health and well-being of total strangers. Now, who does that? Well, I'll tell you who does that. Youngevity members do that. If you want to get involved with that type of human being, then sign up. Become a, you know, go to fireyourmdnow.com. If you haven't done it already, I don't know what you're waiting for, folks. Go to the website, sign up, and join the cause. It's a fantastic group of people to hang out with. So what's going on down there in Texas, buddy?
I got a question about gluten. I'm probably about 75% gluten-free. It's hard to be gluten-free in a world of gluten.
I know, it is.
But I was going to ask you, I watched your video, the Against the Grain video.
Yeah.
And I forget the percentage of people. I think it's either 60 or 70% of Caucasians cannot digest gluten.
Yeah, it's a bit. It's the majority.
And I was just curious, and this is kind of a hypothesis. I'm playing devil's advocate for a minute.
Yeah.
Could it be that that percentage of people cannot digest gluten because they have weak stomach acid?
Oh, it's entirely possible. You bet.
Because probably the percentage of people that are calcium deficient
and salt
don't
deficient,
get enough salt in their diet, probably would be about that same percentage of the population.
Well, and it's interesting, and it's a point well taken, because when you look at the numbers, antacids, right, and proton pump inhibitors, things that completely eliminate your stomach acid, are the second largest selling drug in the United States and the leading selling drug in the world. So it's a point well taken, and it's a good point to ponder for, you know, pure argument's sake, that the reason we can't digest gluten is because everybody's stomach acid is in the crapper. But let me tell you something, right? You know, because I respect what Dr. Wallach does and where he's come from and his academic background and his physician background and all of the stuff that he's done. I mean, you've got to be a knucklehead not to take Dr. Wallach's word for it and do what Dr. Wallach says. So for the last 4 years, I've been gluten-free. Not because I felt like I had a problem with gluten, but because Wallach said be gluten-free, and I trust Wallach, so I went gluten-free, right?
Right.
And I didn't really notice anything remarkably positive after I stopped eating gluten. I mean, I really can't. There was no like, you know, the clouds didn't part, and I had like some remarkable experience. But here's what did happen. And you know, all along for the last 4.5, 5 years, I've been taking my calcium and doing my salt, and my stomach acid is as strong as it's going to be.
Right.
And about a month ago, I was in Paris on vacation with my sweetheart, right? We had a great time. Got engaged, by the way, on the Eiffel Tower. That's how Dr. Glidden rolls. Love you, honey. I know you're listening. But anyway, long story short, because I was being politically correct at the time, because of the social circumstances that I was thrust into, I ate some French bread. For the first gluten I'd had in 4 years. 3 stinking pieces of French bread, and you know how thin they cut it, right? And for the next 5 days, I was sicker than a dog. For the next 24 hours, I felt like I'd been drugged. I was going to the bathroom every 30 minutes, every hour. I felt like I'd had a case of wine to drink. I felt like I'd been hungover. I mean, it was bad, man, and it took me 5 days to get over it. It was 3 stinking pieces of French bread. So it's possible. You know, not everybody is gluten intolerant, but most people are, and even when you have healthy stomach acid, it's still a problem. And the only way to know, there's no reliable objective laboratory test to dial this in. So the only way that you can know how bad of a problem it is for you is to completely eliminate it from your life for a number of weeks or months, and then eat a bunch of it and see how you feel. So, you know, let that be a little life lesson. And there's also, you know, we've had conversations over the years with people who said, well, if the problem is the digestion of the protein, then why can't we just develop some type of a digestive juice to soak the grain in before we make bread out of it, right? Or why can't we take some extra super duper digestive acid before we swallow gluten in order to help break those chemical bonds between the amino acids? Well, I don't know. Probably what would happen if we did that is it'd burn a hole through your stomach, because your body just isn't able to handle acid of that intensity. But I don't know, man. All that I know is when you go gluten-free, when most people go gluten-free, they feel a million times better. So my advice to you, Gerald, is to take it to the next level, baby, and be 100% gluten-free for 4 weeks in a row, 28 days in a row, and then on day 29, all I want you to do is eat gluten, and then call me on day 30 and tell me what happened. I appreciate you down in Texas, man. You guys are the greatest. Keep up the good work. Appreciate the phone call. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health. We're having a good show today. You're hearing it straight from the horse's mouth. Not me, but you. Tune in. More to come when we're finishing up the second hour after these messages. Everybody, Dr. Peter Glidden here. The answer to the secret of life, the universe, and everything, as promised, by the lead-in for today's show, the Facebook meme that we sent out. Well, the answer to life, the universe, and everything is 90. 90. The answer to life, the universe, and everything is 90. 90 for life. Check it out. We're going to finish it out here with Lori from Tennessee, who's been waiting a long time. Hey, Lori, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
This is Gary. She called for me. I got heel spurs on both of my heels.
Yeah.
And I was wondering what could you do to get rid of them?
Well, heel spurs. Yeah, go ahead.
I went to the doctor, and he said there was nothing you can do.
Well,
just have to suffer with them.
Yeah, right. Well, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And, of course, if you went to a communist and asked them about voters' rights, they would look at you like what? What's a voter, right? They have no idea. It's completely outside of their wheelhouse. Well, I don't know if you've ever seen them make saltwater taffy or taffy. You know, you've got those big machines, and you got the length of taffy between the two, and it's going around and around, and the taffy is stretching between the two. Well, when you've got your muscles in your body, and at either end of the muscle is a ligament, and one ligament is attached to one bone, and another ligament is attached to a different bone. And when the muscle contracts, the bones move. That's how we move around, by the muscles being attached to different bones by their ligaments. And the ligaments claw onto the bone. You know, they're attached directly to the bone, kind of like a barnacle attached to the side of the hull of a boat. Okay? Now, when your bone is healthy, the junction between the attachment of the ligament and the bone is strong and durable, and there ain't no problem there. But when your bone starts to lose nutrients, on a microscopic level, not a macroscopic level, on a microscopic level, the bone starts to become malleable like the taffy. So now you contract your muscle, and the ligament pulls on the bone, but because the bone is softer and more malleable than it needs to be, a little bit of the bone gets pulled off of the bone, and that's a bone spur. Bone spurs are simple mineral deficiencies. Now, when we're talking about supporting and promoting the structure and function of a bone, we need to do two things. We need to provide the skeleton. The bone has a skeleton, right? The skeleton of your skeleton. How about that? Inside of the bone, there's a sulfur molecule matrix, like a honeycomb, to which all the hard minerals attach. And that sulfur-bearing matrix is made from glucosamine sulfate and chondroitin sulfate and hyaluronic acid. So because we are holistic, we don't just throw calcium at the problem. We give your body all 90 essential nutrients that it needs, extra calcium, and extra sulfur-bearing molecules to support the skeleton of the skeleton and give your body extra minerals that it can attach and make the bone nice and strong and hard again. So when you flex your muscle, you don't get bone spurs. So the recommendation here is easy. It's one. Actually, I wouldn't do the healthy bone and joint pack because, well, is there pain associated with the bone spurs here? Is there pain associated?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of pain with it. Yeah.
All right. So what I would do, how much do you weigh, man?
260.
All right. So for 90 days, for 3 months, here's what I would do. 2 healthy bone and joint packs per month. 2 healthy bone and joint packs per month. 4 bottles of selenium a month. 2 healthy bone and joint packs, 4 bottles of selenium. 2 healthy bone and joint packs, 4 bottles of selenium, and 1 bottle of liquid glucogel plus. 1 bottle of liquid glucogel plus. If you really want to accelerate this, you can do 2 bottles of liquid glucogel plus. Take that for 90 days in a row. Eliminate the 10 bad foods, and part of that program is a cream called CM cream. You can apply the CM cream topically to the part of your body that hurts, where you're having painful, bone spurs. You can apply that topically, see if it knocks down the pain. Give your body the raw materials that it needs. Stop eating food that's gumming up the works, causing inflammation. Get out of the way and let the healing begin. You're going to love how you feel. We're out of time, folks. I don't know where the time goes. God willing, I'll be back with you tomorrow. Until we meet in person, I remain your steadfast advocate for health, Dr. Peter Glidden, over and out.